Welcome to the Think Yourself Healthy podcast, where you meet the intersection of mind, body, and soul. I'm your host, Heather Duranja, founder of Nutrition Vixen, registered dietitian, nutritionist, personal trainer, and cognitive behavioral specialist. I'm a mother, author, self-improvement junkie, and recovering perfectionist turned professional half-asser. Each week, I'll be bringing on a guest or a topic that will help you go from surviving to thriving. Are you with me? All right, here we go with today's episode. Hello, everybody. On today's episode, we have Stephanie, a wife and mother of two beautiful, loving little girls born with many severe and life-threatening food allergies. They live a sweet, organic life every day, sharing their journey with celiac disease, unspecified muscular dystrophy, EOE, which is eosinophilic esophagitis. I totally butchered that. EOE. And they also struggle with FPIES, which is food protein induced enterocolitis syndrome, EDS, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disease, GERD and Autism. Wow, that is definitely a lot of stuff to take into consideration. Her goal is to advocate, bake, blog, and love. Her husband, Giovanni, has been one of her greatest supporters in providing their family with what they need. Living off one income is no easy task, but they manage because they love their daughters. Everyone in their life have been a tremendous help and support. Her blog is to educate, to inform, to share yummy recipes, and to review samples from companies so that the audience may enjoy peace in their own unique home. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming on today and being my guest. I'm really excited to talk to you about food allergies. Food allergies is something that I connect with and struggle with myself. A lot of my clients and audience also have food allergies. Being that you have so many difficult autoimmune issues that you have to juggle between your two daughters, I think that that's something that a lot of families become extremely overwhelmed with. And so I'm really excited to hear how you have been able to, single-handedly manage all of these things at one time and still keep your daughters alive. It's amazing.
Yeah, so a little bit of the background story. When I had my first daughter, it just was something so new to us. It was so new that our pediatrician was like, there's no way your daughter can have food allergies. We don't even test for food allergies until the age of 5. And I knew there was something wrong right away. I was like, you know what? This is not the doctor for us. We need to go on a pediatrician hunt. And I think we went through about 6 different pediatricians. Nobody would listen.
Wow.
And it was hard. This is my first daughter, first time parent. I knew something was different.
And how old is she at this age?
She, so at this time, her first anaphylactic reaction, she was like 7 months old.
Wow.
And it was to a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that somebody had eaten and then kissed her.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's when I was like, okay, when I was pregnant, I knew I had allergies. I actually was diagnosed with food allergies when I was 13. Mm-hmm. Ended up in the emergency room with a concussion because I was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every day after school. Then I was like, oh, I'm going to do a backflip. And as I was doing the backflip, went into anaphylactic reaction, fell on my head. And that's kind of how I found out I had food allergies, because I ended up in the emergency room and they were like, oh, so this is actually what happened.
Wow.
And so it was an interesting way to find out. And also interesting since I had always been around nuts. I'd always had them in my diet, that all of a sudden now I could not have peanut butter or, just any nuts in general. So when I was pregnant of my first, I kind of went about, well, we're not going to introduce nuts to her early on. And then when she had her first reaction, the doctor was like, oh no, there's no way, you know, we don't test till she's 5, you know, she doesn't have allergies yet. And then I was searching for a doctor. And then what happened was at 8 months old, she ended up having another reaction. It was a mild one, but she still had one. The other pediatrician I was seeing said, yes, she has allergies, but I'm not going to refer you to an allergist. And that's where I was like, I think I need to see an allergist. So I moved on and found another pediatrician, which
So
we're
you trusted
now,
your gut.
which we're now in love with him. If I could have 100 babies, I would.
What area is he located in?
He's actually in San Juan Capistrano.
Wow.
So he's really close to us. At that time, I was living in Garden Grove. So it was, you know, it's like a 45-minute drive, but it was worth it. For my kids, it was worth it. And the worst anaphylactic reaction, let me just jump in real deep, real quick. Avery was one. We had gone to Yosemite camping with a big old group. We take our own food, take her own snacks, you know, do everything. I was river rafting, coming down the water. My mom was with my daughter, which is Avery, my oldest, and she had cherry tomatoes she was sharing with another little boy her age. And they finished them, and the mom gave him a little tub of almonds. And we still, at this time, did not have an EpiPen. And so what happened was my mom heard almonds in Spanish, and she was like, oh, no. Avery already had the almond in her mouth. And what happened was my mom just told her, spit it out. She didn't even bite it. She literally put it in her mouth, spit it out. That was it. When I came down and I was, you know, I got out of the raft and everything, and looked at Avery and was like, she has hives all over her body. And my mom was like, oh yeah, it was like 100 degrees outside. And my mom was like, oh yeah, it's hot. You know, she didn't want to tell me what had happened because she was scared that I was going to freak out. And so she didn't tell me it's the heat. Okay. And then all of a sudden she spiked a fever. She had 103 fever. And then I'm breastfeeding her and she's throwing up everywhere. She's just throwing up. And I was like, Mom, there's something wrong. She's like, I didn't want to tell you, but this is what happened. And she tells me, I was like, no, we need to get her to the hospital. So we went down to the hospital. They admitted her. Her body went into anaphylactic reaction and they couldn't get her out of it. So they ended up they induced her into a coma, and she was airlifted to another children's hospital in Fresno, I think it was. And she was on a ventilator for like 12 days, I think it was. And so that's when we were like, okay, there's something definitely wrong. Pediatrician did the whole panel, everything. Yes, she's severely allergic to nuts and a bunch of other stuff that we had no idea. So at this time, I was still learning. She was only a year old. We're still learning. Okay, we would give her a chocolate bar that said produced in a facility. Avery is one of those kids that is so sensitive that even products that have been produced in the same facility on the same equipment, depending on how the cleaning process, even if it's the same facility, sometimes that's what people sometimes don't understand. It can be the same facility. The facility can be like 7 football fields long. It can have thousands and thousands of products in it, but then they dedicate this room that is, you know, say peanut, tree nut, dairy, gluten-free, top 8 free, whatever you want to have it. Different type of air system in there. It's not connected to anything else. You know, they wear full-on white suits in there. You know, they can't eat in there. They don't bring any food. They're very, very strict. So depending, you know, calling companies, writing, emailing, you know, reaching out on social media. Now it's much easier to get a hold of companies than it was 8 years ago. And obviously it's much easier to find safer products now for our kids than it was 8 years ago. But just all the work that goes into all of this stuff.
So can you tell me what some of her food allergies are? And both daughters have food allergies. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are they different allergies? Or they very?
They
Really?
are. They're very, very different. So Avery, which is my oldest, she's 10. She's airborne anaphylactic to peanuts, tree nuts, all of them. The ones that she has reacted to airborne are peanuts, almonds, walnuts, pistachios, and hazelnuts.
Wow.
And aside from that, she has celiac disease. She's got a dairy allergy, fish, shellfish. She can't have legumes. She's severely allergic to peas, which at the time I did not know, but now I know that the protein DNA of a pea in a peanut is almost identical, that not many people have the same allergy, but it's crazy, just mind-blowing how much some things can cross-react through a different food that you never thought about.
Right.
People think of a peanut as a nut, and
Right.
it's not. It's a legume.
Mm-hmm.
And you tell them, no, it's a legume. It's a bean. It grows like a bean. No, it's a nut.
Right.
No, no. So she's got those. She's got some fruits and vegetables she can't have as well. My youngest one has the FPIES, which
Okay.
is the food protein induced enterocolitis syndrome. We actually found out when she was 2 months old, she was diagnosed. She was severely allergic to my breast milk.
Wow.
And that's kind of how we found out. I was breastfeeding her. She was 6 pounds, 14 ounces when she
Wow.
was born.
Mm.
And then she just started losing weight. She lost weight, and she lost weight at 2 months old. She was 4 pounds. And her pediatrician was like, I'm sorry, but I can't wait for her to gain any more weight right now. We have to admit her into the hospital. 12 days in the hospital, 12 long, long days. And it turned out they tried everything under the sun. They tried all formulas, soy, dairy, any type of formula they can think of. And then we were at the last resort. It was either we're going to put in an NG tube or a feeding tube. And if she doesn't gain weight with this last formula, and I was like, we're praying, please just take it. Don't throw up, explosions everywhere, every side you can think of. And she did. She drank the milk, and she was able to start gaining weight. They wouldn't release her until she gained that 1 pound from the hospital. So she was prescribed onto a medical amino acid formula, and which is the Neocate Infant unflavored, which is so interesting. They had told me, just give it a couple months. It should clear up. Sometimes their guts are not fully developed, or they just can't absorb it because they're not fully developed. And I was like, okay. So I kept pumping because I breastfed my first until she was 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I cried the day that I had to stop. And the only reason was because the doctor was like, she's really sick. And we didn't know why she was sick. Because we were still, aside from the allergies, we were still trying to figure out what else was not. She was 2 years old and she wasn't gaining weight. This is my own.
While you're breastfeeding, you're also having to be mindful of what you're eating so that you're not transferring that through the breast milk, right?
Right. And with my oldest one, she was already 2. And the doctor's like, we need to find out, in order to do a food journal, it's like giving her food journal for her, and then you're eating and you're breastfeeding her. So I think it's time. It's easier if you just stopped. And I cried, and he's like, what is better? For her to keep suffering for another month, or for you just to see her thriving? And I was like, well, I want her to thrive, but it was that milestone that I had to get over.
Right.
Where with my second, I knew there was something wrong, and the doctor knew she wasn't gaining weight. He knew she was throwing up all the time, and she had explosive diapers. And it wasn't until she had blood in her diapers that we started an elimination diet. And this was a little bit before she was admitted to the hospital. And I was literally on rice and oats, and I think it was like coconut milk and some corn things. Let me tell you, now I feel super guilty. And the only reason why is because corn, soy, oats, and rice are her biggest triggers.
Oh.
So that was really hard. We didn't know at the time, so we just took it a day at a time. She was thriving on the formula that she was on. She was gaining weight. She had those chunky thighs. She was happy, and that's all that mattered. I kept pumping for almost a year.
Wow.
And when she was, I think, 8 months old, I decided to try to breastfeed. It was like, when she was born, you just put them there and they latch on, like they just know what to do. Most kids at that age won't latch on because they're like, I don't know what this is, but you could see it in her that that's really what she wanted. She reacted to my breast milk still. So what I ended up doing to kind of cope with that, because I always felt guilty of the fact that I breastfed my first for 2 years. My second one isn't going to love me as much because, she didn't breastfeed. I didn't have that contact with her, which was not the deal. She's still a huge mama's girl. I think it's the way the mom brain works sometimes,
Yeah.
and it gets to you. She loves me so much. We have a great relationship, even though she's just 4.
Right.
But yeah, the way that I kind of cope with that was all my formula, almost 2,000 ounces of, not my formula, my breast milk, almost 2,000 ounces of breast milk was donated to a family that had just adopted a new baby boy that was addicted to methamphetamine. And so they reached out to me and said, because I had posted it on this page on Facebook, for Human Milk for Human Babies is the Facebook group name. Wow. And it's a lot of moms that produce too much formula or producing milk and their babies can't have it. They're donating it to families that can have the milk. And so I kind of went on there. I got a lot of stories of why I should donate my milk to them. And I decided that the best thing to do was to give it to this baby. And they are a family in San Francisco. And that's kind of like what helped me in that milestone, kind of get over that, I couldn't give it to my baby, but a baby that really needed it and could thrive on it. So that kind of gave me a mental stability of I still did my part as a woman. And, even though it was heartbreaking for me, but it gave me that consolation of, it's okay.
Sense of purpose, being able to nurture.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That
is absolutely beautiful.
Around all this time, I'm dealing with my hormones because obviously, my daughter's condition and my oldest one didn't go to school because of her airborne allergies.
Right.
And so, it was really hard. My story just kind of goes back and forth in a lot of different ways.
As we've discussed, you're definitely going to be back on the podcast because you are the epitome of going from surviving to thriving in so many different aspects of your life and things that you have experienced over your lifetime. You are a true hero. I just absolutely love you. When I first met you, my heart just absolutely was like, this woman is a warrior, an absolute warrior. And the obstacles that you have had to face in your journey of, let's just talk about motherhood, have been immense. And a lot of what you have experienced is very overwhelming, emotionally, physically, and mentally overwhelming. Yes. And you have been a true trooper in the sense that you trusted your gut.
Yep.
You didn't accept what you were being told, and you were proactive and have advocated for your daughter's health and wellness. And that's a beautiful thing. Many of us just, we allow ourselves to trust in the system. Yeah. And unfortunately, there are a lot of negative consequences that come from that. So I commend you for trusting your gut, having the ability to say, I am not accepting this as the truth, and I'm going to get to the bottom of this no matter how hard I have to fight. Yeah. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. I know firsthand for myself how difficult it was for me at 18 being diagnosed with this kidney disease and trying to figure it out on my own. So I applaud you and all of your efforts. And I know that your daughters are so grateful and thankful for their beautiful mama who has fought so hard for their health and well-being.
I'm a fighter for sure.
You are a true warrior. I mean, you are the epitome of going from surviving to thriving, and your daughters, are an example of that. So I want to talk to you because there's a lot of parents out there who are struggling, like you, and they don't really know what to do. And there's so many obstacles, barriers that stand in the way, especially when our children have been diagnosed with the allergies, not to mention what happens before the diagnosis is. So with that being said, now your oldest daughter, you homeschooled her, correct?
So I didn't homeschool her. I actually enrolled her into the school system.
Okay.
But because Avery's accommodations were not being met, the school couldn't accommodate her fully. The school ended up sending us a teacher to our home.
Okay.
So, and it's called HHI, so it's home hospital instruction. It's mostly used for kids that have a broken arm or broken leg, can't go to school for a week or two. It's more of a short-term type of study.
Okay.
But Avery, the school that she was assigned to in the district she was assigned to, they couldn't accommodate that.
So is it because she's just too much of a liability?
They don't want to say that technically, but
okay.
yes. So so the thing is, their motto in the school district is a child should not be kept away from, say, peers or restricted in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that they saw it was, if Avery came to the school, we would have to do accommodations. So Avery could come to school part-time, let's say, and then she could start that way, and then move her way up to be a full day of school while she was in school, but she couldn't eat lunch at the lunchroom. She had to eat lunch with her teacher in the room. She couldn't play on the playground, and she couldn't interact with the other kids.
Right.
To me, that was very restrictive.
Yeah.
So as parents, my husband and I decided the least restrictive environment for our daughter was to be at home, where she didn't have to be restricted from anyone.
Right.
And her teacher would come to her.
Right.
The school didn't really agree, obviously, because we're restricting her from being away from the peers. But Avery has an unspecified muscular dystrophy, and she has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. She wears AFOs, so she wears leg braces on both feet. And they go a little bit under her knee, so that it's a full leg brace. She's worn them since she was 3. A little bit before she turned 3. And that was a hard one to get diagnosed with as well, with the muscular dystrophy, because she has the muscular dystrophy and she has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it usually doesn't go hand in hand together. So the way we saw it was, she was a target for bullying right off the bat, not even including her food allergies. She's not allowed to interact with the other kids, play on the playground, go to lunch. How is she going to make friends? And then you look at her and she looks different already.
Right.
So we decided no.
Yeah.
She was going to stay home. The teacher could come to us. But as she got older, she expressed to us, Mom, I really want to go to school. I want to make friends, And I made it a mission for myself to make sure that she one day could go to school safely. I had people tell me that it was impossible. I had people tell me that I was just putting her in a situation that wasn't really going to, it was going to put her in a situation where she was going to be bullied, or, just a lot of things could happen.
Right.
Would she really be safe? So the first thing we decided before even looking into a school was, guess what? We're going to get a service dog. I had a couple friends. They reached out to somebody that trained dogs. He has training for over 40 years almost. And he was amazing. We talked to him, our first consultation, and it's a process for that. 'Cause he says he does not train dogs just for any family. It's like an adoption. If you are you have to be fit and meet the needs of what he wants you to do. And so you had to go through this rough time, okay, why do you want a service dog? Well, this is, my daughter's airborne anaphylactic. We want to give her more freedom. Do you know a service dog is not just, oh, here's your dog and everything's going to be okay. You cannot what do you want to use this dog for? To help you, to use it as a tool, or just to rely on it? I was like, no, we want to add the dog in as an extra tool in our toolbox. We go somewhere, we wipe down the table, we wipe down the chair, and the dog would sweep and then would tell us, okay, there's enough protein here.
Wow.
Yeah. So the dog is actually, so we ended up doing a fundraiser, raised the funds to get a dog.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was, Aliso Viejo was actually the one that really helped us. The community came together. They did a huge fundraiser. We raised enough money to get Beauty.
Oh my gosh.
Beauty, it took a long time in the process. And we gained a lot of friends and lost some because they wanted, money's here, let's get the service dog. This is how it's supposed to go. Like, you go online and you order it. They weren't anticipating, you have to find the right dog, make sure that dog is good. It's a family dog. It's good with babies. Cause I was pregnant at the time.
Wow.
So we needed a dog that was not going to be aggressive towards the baby. And so that was a challenge, but we ended up getting our dog. Her name is Beauty. She's a Black American Lab, and she is so smart. So she's trained just like a narcotics dog or a bomb dog. But instead of narcotics or drugs, she's trained for peanuts, almonds, walnuts, pistachios, and hazelnuts.
Wow.
And she's a passive alerter. So if, like, say when I take her to Target and we are doing a search, because it's a constant training. Just because she's trained doesn't mean she doesn't have to keep training. We train her once to twice a week still. So I take her to Target, hide some nuts and stuff, and then after that she finds them, and she works for a tug. It's a little toy. It's a piece of jean that she uses. And she just on it all the time. She sits and she points. So that's what she's a passive alerter. So she does not touch the protein. Whereas a narcotics dog is an aggressive alerter. If you ever see them find something, they will scratch wherever that is, that the scent is coming from. So that's the difference between a passive and...
Because ultimately it would be putting your daughter at risk if she was coming into contact.
Correct.
Wow. I had no idea that this kind of thing even existed. Yeah. And so as you're telling me all of this, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, how do you socialize this child? How do you provide this child with some sense of normalcy? And how are you able to still go about your life and do all of the things that need to be done instead of just confining yourself to a home where you're ordering everything online and having to have it shipped? And so I had no clue. This is absolutely phenomenal that this kind of thing is available to help provide some sort of normalcy for you guys. What a beautiful
And it did.
gift.
It really did. So that was the first step for us. Getting the dog, learning about the dog, keep the training up, making sure that Avery and the dog had the connection that they needed.
Right.
Then the second step was finding a school that would, one, accommodate everything, all of Avery's needs, and would accommodate the dog as well. The school she belonged to, in the school district she belonged to, did not want anything to do. We ended up actually having to go through a huge lawsuit with them. We didn't fight for money. We just wanted the rights for our daughter to be met in the accommodations that she needed. And that's a whole nother story we can go into another.
We're going to have a sweet living series.
And so what happened was we did find a school. It's a private, public, nonprofit charter school.
Okay.
And it's literally 2 streets down from our house. They're amazing, accommodate all of Avery's needs. They have accommodated Beauty. Beauty goes to school every day with Avery.
Okay.
She sweeps backpacks. She sweeps the classroom every day. The kids love her. I mean, I was at the Fancy Free show And so she didn't go to school Tuesday and Wednesday. Monday was Martin Luther King's birthday, but Tuesday and Wednesday she didn't go to school. Yesterday she has a heart condition that is affected because of her Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So she was up all night. She couldn't sleep because her heart, the rhythmic of her heart was out of beat. And so I kept her home. And today we went in school and opened the door, and all the kids started clapping, and they were so happy that she was back and Beauty was back. They're like silent clapping and yay, she's back. So just the community at school has been amazing. Like she was never put in a position where she felt like, I don't know if I really want to be in school. It's always like she had moved into the school. It's a lottery-based school, so it's not like you can just, hey, I want to come to your school. And from the first day she came home, Mom, I love my school. I have 2 best friends. All the kids obviously want to be around Avery. They want to, interact with her. How can we keep you safe? Her friends have gone above and beyond to, standing up for her when they see, even though the school is a nut-free school, just to clarify, parents sometimes in the rush of things will put in a granola bar or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich real quick, and they don't think
about the consequences.
And so I remember one of the days, one of my daughter's best friends got up and went to one of the staff members and said, hey, that person is drinking silk milk. And according to her, she drinks silk milk at home, and it's the almond one. So she saw silk milk and she was like, she's drinking something that my friend can die from. Told her, the staff went over there, looked at it, it was soy milk. But just the fact that they're so aware of everything that is around them to make sure that they're keeping their friends safe has been so heartwarming. You see the compassion coming from the kids, the compassion, the love, just everything in general. It wasn't like they show in the movies, oh, she's got a nut allergy or she has food allergies, sits at a table all by herself. There's no such thing as a peanut-free table there. She's got her table that she sits at, but all her friends can sit with her because
that's amazing.
There's no isolation. That's what I love about this school. It's how can we make sure that she doesn't feel isolated? How can we make sure she participates in this?
Well, with this kind of situation, I think that, the biggest barrier was having to keep her from being able to socialize in the real world and feel a sense of normalcy and belonging.
Right. Which was a big thing for her because she also has autism and, the interaction between the kids. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that she was scared to be around other people because she feared, what did they eat? What do they have on their hands? Could they potentially give me a reaction? And she kept herself away from that. And so that was a hard part for us, but we enrolled her in ABA therapy. She's got sessions every day, Monday through Friday, 2 hours a day. And in this past year, we have seen a tremendous change in the way she communicates and everything. And she did express to us as well that she felt anxiety and felt sad and stressed all the time. And this came about from her last anaphylactic reaction, which was from a dentist office. And we can have another podcast to kind of talk about that and what happened. But it was so severe that she told me, Mom, please don't let me die.
Oh my gosh. As a mother, I'm sure that's got to be the most frightening.
It breaks your heart.
You feel so helpless, and I can't even imagine. You are such a beautiful human. You are doing so many amazing things, not only for your daughter, but for so many out there who are in similar circumstances with your blog and with your working with food companies. I can't speak volumes for the advocacy work that you are doing that is so helpful for so many. So right now, what is the biggest obstacle you guys are facing? What is the hardest thing that you're trying to push through right now?
So right now it's the heart palpitations, trying to figure out what's causing it, and her anxiety. And as a parent, she did come to me and said, "Mom, this is how I feel." I asked her because I know that as a woman, mental health, and
Mm-hmm.
as even for men, mental health is a big thing. And if you're
Absolutely.
scared all the time and have this stress, I know personally it just kind of drags your hormones and everything down.
Right.
So I was proactive about it, reached out, went to her insurance. Okay, I need to find a pediatric psychologist that could
Mm-hmm.
work with my daughter. So she does. She sees a psychologist once
So
a week.
amazing.
Yeah, so, I just want her to know that it's okay to feel a certain way, and it's okay to come to me and say, "This is how I feel. This is what I think I need."
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go to the extent of, "Okay, this is what we need. This is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it."
This is a true sentiment to the whole concept of my podcast, which is think yourself healthy.
Yeah.
And you are a beautiful example of how,
Thank you.
despite the multiple life-threatening diagnoses that both of your children have faced, you have thought a different way to provide them with hope and being able to know that they can still live the life of their dreams
Yep.
because you choose to be proactive and find solutions to overcome the barriers that are keeping them from being able to achieve that.
And I wouldn't be able to do that without my husband's help.
Oh,
As
you-
I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I've literally dedicated my life to my kids.
absolutely. So how does mom take care of herself through all of this?
So actually, right now, I'm doing 100-day self-love, and that is just based off of trying to change your mentality of, I need to lose weight. I'm not going to eat this because I'm going to gain weight, and kind of, go through the stage of changing that mentality. I ate a donut, so I have to go to the gym for an hour and a half and burn that off. What I'm doing right now is, I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to thank my body for doing everything that it wakes me up. It gives me the life to be able to take care of my kids. I'm my strength to be able to carry my kids, to
Mm-hmm.
lift them, to be able to nurture them. And so I've kind of gone through that. Instead of, I'm going to go to the gym because I need to lose weight, I'm going to go to the gym to thank my body. I'm going to
Right.
go for a walk to thank my body.
So many people, when these kind of things happen in their life, they turn to victim mode. They
Yeah.
find themselves, helpless. They don't think that they have any alternatives other than to just surrender and accept the diagnoses for what they are. And
I'm a
again,
fighter.
you are literally the epitome of exactly what this podcast is about. And it's deciding that you have a choice,
Right.
despite the diagnoses, to choose differently on how you are going to live your life. And you are the most beautiful sentiment to all of this and your daughters. What you're doing is absolutely amazing. I love your 100 days of self-love and the mission that you are on to help other people think differently about these kind of circumstances, but also be proactive, show them resources that are available to help educate themselves, provide them with the tools that they need for in their own homes. You're just doing such an amazing job, amazing work out there. And I'm so proud of you and
Thank you.
everything that you have achieved, the normalcy that you have allowed your daughters to live despite these, unique circumstances and diagnoses. You're just the most beautiful mother. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
So where can everybody find you? How can they find you to reach
So,
out?
yeah, so I have my blog, which is uniqueheartbeat.com. And then I have my social media, Instagram, and they can find me under Sweet Organic Living. And I have Facebook as well. I also run a support group for kids with food allergies, and that's our No Nuts Moms group we have Orange County. I mean, we have No Nuts Moms group is over 120 support groups all over the United States, Canada. We have over 48,000 followers on our main forum.
Wow.
And that we just share, this new product or this happened, or, hey, we hit a milestone and my kid's not allergic to almonds anymore. This opens up a whole new door. So just a little bit of everything I kind of do.
Well, I'll make sure to link all of those in the podcast notes so that people can find that easily. You are such an inspiration. I cannot wait to have you on again as a guest. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, there are so many examples of surviving to thriving that you have demonstrated in your very short lifetime. And I know that the audience is going to connect with a lot of the things that you have been through, and through this, extract a lot of value, hope. No matter what our circumstances are, we can't control the circumstances, but we can choose how we respond. Correct. And you are a perfect example of how you
and it's just not me though. I think the best part that we can kind of get into that is having an amazing support system.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just one person, if it's two people, but my mom, my sisters, and my husband, they have been there to support me, to pick me up, to let me cry. So I think that literally is the best thing to help someone is if you have that support system, you can do it. You can fight through those hurdles. It's not going to be easy. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy, but you can do it.
Right. And if someone is lacking the support system, there are resources out there.
They can reach out to me. I will support them.
Oh,
I'm here.
You're so beautiful.
I've helped so many families.
It's so beautiful to see something like this situation that you've been faced with, where you didn't get to choose this, but through this, you found a life purpose.
Yes.
And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And again, that goes back to not being able to control the circumstances, but choosing how we respond to it and empowering ourselves through what we can do to serve and help others and provide others with the support that they need in order to fulfill that purpose within us. The example of the breast milk, not being able to nurture your own children through your breast milk, but being able to find a way to provide nurturing elsewhere. Right. I mean, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And so many of us just go straight to victim mode, feel sorry for ourselves, and sentence ourselves to a life of unhappiness. And you have fought through, you continue to fight through and find the good in all of the obstacles.
It's a daily thing. Yes.
Well, I applaud you. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to have you back on so we can have more conversations.
Yes. You know where to find me.
I know where to find you, and I will be. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Think Yourself Healthy podcast. I'm so grateful that you stopped by. If you could just take a minute to share this episode with someone you think who would love it, it would be amazing. Take a screenshot that you've listened to the episode and tag at Think Yourself Healthy and myself at Nutrition Vixen so that I can share it. Leave a review on iTunes to let us know how much you loved being here and what you want to hear next. Until next time, don't forget to think yourself healthy. Thanks again, guys. Bye.